there is a very, very fine line between premonition and manifestation. And I think a lot of people get stuck in this sometimes where something happens and you're like, something bad happens and you're like, did I manifest that? Like, did I attract that and create it? Because maybe you had this inkling or this kind of feeling about it beforehand. So I want to kind of dispel this a little bit, break this down, and share some tips so you can help create awareness around these things so that you trust the premonitions if they are coming, or just tune in to attract and manifest the good. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Kara Michelle and I'm here to help you live your truth. And this is a topic that is very close to my heart because I have been in this situation multiple times where I'm questioning, like, did I actually attract this situation, or was the premonition, the intuitive feelings beforehand, were those actually signs for me of what was coming, because I'm connected to my intuition and connected to myself and my experience here. So it's this really fine line and this weird dance between things. So I know before I had my car accident, it was so weird. I was driving across Canada by myself in January, which is not really the best time. Hindsight, right? Definitely not the best time. And both of my parents were a bit concerned, but I was like, I'm going, because I'm a Taurus and I do what I want. So I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I want to get to BC. So but I had this conversation with my mom a few days before I left, and she was really worried about me hitting black ice. And yes, that's a normal concern, but we had this really weird conversation about it, like really in depth, and I kind of was just like, look, Mom, if I'm gonna hit black ice, I'm gonna hit black ice. Like, if that's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and it doesn't matter if you're in the car with me, it doesn't matter if my dad's in the car with me, or if I'm driving by myself. Like, no matter who's driving, if we hit black ice, that's the situation, right? And I obviously didn't really know much about black ice and didn't really understand the severity of it, obviously. But I just kind of had this kind of feeling of like, whatever's meant to be will be. And I even said, like, I know I have Derek, my angel, watching out for me. I know I'm going to be supported because there's a lot of things I still have to do in this life. So if I don't want to be caught in the fear of not doing things because of what could happen. Now, it's strange though, because then 2 days later, or maybe 3 days later, when I was driving, this is exactly what happened. I was on the highway, I turned a little bit of a corner, a small little turn, and just like hit this horrible patch of black ice. And the RCMP and ambulance and paramedics, everyone was like, oh my God, this is like the worst. We've seen it. And they were shocked that there weren't more cars, actually, because it was so bad. So anyway, I hit this black ice. I had an out-of-body experience and a lot of other stuff. And it was a crazy, crazy, weird time of increased adrenaline, obviously, and like enough time to cognitively think of every single situation that I could possibly do, but then also the time slowing down and then time speeding up. It all happened really quick. So anyway, the point is like, afterwards we had these conversations of like, was that a premonition that was bringing my mom the signs and this conversation to light? Was it a premonition that, had I listened to, I wouldn't have had that car accident, right? And I wouldn't have had the trauma and everything from that. I wouldn't have totaled my car. I lost a bunch of stuff and extra stress for so many reasons. Or did we manifest it? And like, part of me was like, man, because we talked about it in depth. So did we put that out to the universe? And then law of attraction said, hey, they're talking about it and like going on and on. Their energy is in this place, so we're going to give it to them, right? And it's this weird dance between manifestation and premonition. So what I think really helps when you're in this place is there's a few things. So when you are getting these signs intuitively and they're jumping in and being like, oh, you get this kind of feeling about someone or this feeling about a situation, or it's like something's a little bit off and your gut instinct's like, I don't know about that. Those are premonitions, right? Also, if you get this kind of feeling like a divine download of like suddenly you hear something, or there's a voice, or there's a thought, like something's kind of just like there. To me, in my experience, that's a premonition. That's something higher than your physical self coming to tell you, like, hey, beware of this, right? Watch out. Be on alert, pay extra attention, whatever it is, right? And it's giving you that premonition, like maybe something's gonna go wrong here. Let's pay close notice to what's happening, right? If you have the manifestation or the law of attraction piece, I personally think that's when there's a lot more effort and energy behind these things. So it's like if you think about a pink elephant, manifestation doesn't happen like that to bring it to you. If you think about something once, it's not just there, like otherwise we'd all have millions of dollars, we'd all have soulmates, we'd all have like anything we thought of throughout the day, like I want popcorn right now, and it would be like, boom, here it is. Enjoy, right? If manifestation was an immediate game, and you could just have like one single thought, there'd be a lot of manifesting. And it kind of makes me think of that scene in Harry Potter where they're in Bellatrix Lestrange's vault and everything's duplicating, and it's like you touch it once and it's like ding 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 ding, and there's more and there's more and there's more. To me, if manifestation happened immediately, that's what it would look like, because we have over 50,000 thoughts a day. If every single one of those things manifested immediately, we'd be in trouble and there'd be a lot of negative things going on, right? So fortunately, the way law of attraction works is that it does take a little, like there is a disconnect. There's no limit to how long it will take. There's not like a specific magic number of how long it takes for something to attract or how much energy you have to put into it in order to attract it. But it doesn't happen immediately, right? And for our safety, quite honestly. But I think the difference here is really tuning in to yourself. And the more clear you are with yourself and your situation, and the better your energy is, the easier it's going to be to tell the difference between these things, and between if something is like fear. This is going to be messy. Fear versus love. So like premonitions don't necessarily have to be negative and fear-based. That was just my example, right? You could have a really positive premonition. Like for instance, when I manifested, this is going to be manifestation though. When I manifested a job with elephants, I had this really good feeling and premonition beforehand where I just felt really aligned and positive, like, this is going to happen. I would still lean that more towards manifestation than premonition. Premonition to me is like a one-off. It's kind of like this thought that's there or this one-time feeling, and then maybe you continue going forward and you don't really think anything about it again until the thing happens, and then you go, man, if I would have listened to that or paid more attention to that sign, maybe it could have been easier, maybe it could have been different, maybe I could have like fixed things, right? And that's where this whole awareness of the self can really help you moving forward with these things, because whatever you're kind of noticing is there for a reason. And I know I had a lot of personally, I had a lot of struggles with relationships with men in my life and a lot of trauma. And then especially after being sexually assaulted, then I continued to attract more men who were like predators, and like they knew like that they knew like my energy was low vibe, and like self-worth was low, and I was still in the trauma cycle and all these things. So I continued to attract people that matched that. And there were premonitions when I got this job where I kind of had this feeling like this boss might be someone who's going to try to take advantage of me. And it was when I was living in Sri Lanka, and it was like I had these premonitions, but I kind of ignored them because I was hoping to manifest something positive, and I was hoping it could all just work out beautifully, like in my dreams and in my mind, and everything would be perfect. Well, it turned out I could have listened to that premonition and saved a lot of stress, because he ended up being someone who was the same thing and like tried to take advantage of me, was super controlling and negative, disrespectful, like made me very uncomfortable. And here I was living on this island with a few suitcases. Luckily I had been there before with the elephant, so I had a lot of friends there, but I had been so excited for the situation, amidst the premonition and amidst those kind of intuitive feelings. I just was so hopeful, and then it turned out to be the negative, right? But having said all these things, I felt like I needed to have that experience, and maybe this is me justifying things, but this is how I choose to look at life so that I can find the lessons from it and make sense out of the bad times. I felt like I needed that experience because that was a huge turning point for me finding my voice and finding my self-worth. Because instead of continuing to stay in this toxic place, by day 2, or like day 3, when things really escalated, I was like, screw this, I'm out. And I packed up my stuff, I moved it to another place. I waited till he showed up that next day, and I was like, this isn't gonna work, and I'm leaving. And I really stepped into my power in that moment and found my self-worth. So in my opinion, sometimes these premonitions are here to warn us so we can avoid the situation, and other times the premonitions are here to just kind of give us that little heads up of like, hey, I just keep my eye out right now and like pace myself, take it easy, right? And be aware, because that allows you to then enter the situation kind of from a safer energy than maybe going all in and getting caught up or getting stuck into a really negative, toxic pattern again. So I hope this kind of helps share it a little bit. And I think when it comes to understanding your own premonitions and manifestations, like for a while, part of me beat myself up, being like, you manifested this. That was horrible. Why did you attract these things? And like, why would you manifest this into your reality? And I created some guilt and shame. And that is where the kind of problem comes in, because then you're blaming yourself and creating more animosity and more negative emotions. Whereas if you can separate from it and look at it and maybe not attach so strongly to a manifestation, and you go, you know what, it was here to teach me something. Maybe next time I listen to my intuition a little bit more. Maybe next time when I hear those nudges or I have that premonition, I'm gonna like step back and I'm gonna be more patient and like act with extra awareness before getting full-fledged into the situation. So it really comes down to personal awareness and tuning into what signs and symbols are there for you, what it means, what you're feeling, and then going from that place. And then if the manifestation occurs, maybe you controlled that, maybe you were a part of attracting that, or maybe it was something in your purpose. Maybe it was something that was meant to happen. For my car accident, I believe that was meant to happen because it had almost happened on that exact same highway in that exact same spot 2 years prior. And I think I needed to learn something from it. I know I needed to learn a lot of things from it, actually. So I believe that that was something that was meant to be. Whether I manifested it or not, it was kind of something I was going to go through. So I stopped beating myself up for that and stopped trying to force this understanding of like, did I manifest it? Or was it just a premonition and a bit of intuition beforehand to maybe prep myself and my family for the situation. So it wasn't, I mean, it was still a shock and a surprise, but maybe it was a little bit less because we had kind of gone into it with this awareness. So it's really, really interesting to dive into this and look at it in your own life and see how these things are showing up for you and create your own understandings of how you work, how you manifest, how you connect your intuition and these thoughts, and whether you trust them or not. Okay, so if you found this helpful, please hit the thumbs up, please subscribe, turn on the notifications bell, and share if you found this helpful, if you think anyone could benefit from it. And as always, please feel free to check out all of the free resources for you linked down below. There's so much on there. Spirituality, mindset, it's powerful stuff. So check it out, and I'll see you later.